Rev up your engines!
4Runner Blues. I took my newly acquired 1990 Dodge B250 van to my mechanic who won't work on it. Not because it's a big van, but they said it's too old. Is this unusual? Well, actually, it's not unusual, and here's why. Most honest mechanics run a business. They're making a business to make money for a living. They see a 30-year-old Dodge van, and they think that thing's not worth much. Somebody bought this thing, they didn't pay much for it. They don't want to spend much money fixing it, and it may need 5 times the amount of work put into it that the vehicle is worth. So yes, there's a lot of old guys, and myself included sometimes, that won't work on those vehicles. Now, I never go that far. I try to tell people not to buy them if they don't know anything about cars, but if they still want to buy it, I say, well, bring it over here first. And I will check it out for them. I'll spend an hour going through it, and they pay me my hour's labor for checking it all out and telling you what kind of shape it's in. And you never know. But a lot of guys don't want to mess with old vehicles because there's so many things wrong, and they know the customer doesn't want to pay for it. I personally have had mechanic friends, and I look in the back of their big shops, and they'll have like 8 cars there. I'll say, what are those old junkers? They said exactly that. The guys wanted us to fix it. We started fixing them, then they ran out of money, and they wouldn't pay us, so we ended up keeping those old piles of junk. We don't want them lying around either, so that's the main reason. Tim says, greeting from Chattanooga. I'm 15. I'm going to be 16. I want to get a BMW 3 Series as a first car. The E36 body style with a standard transmission. Any thoughts? Let me tell you, okay, I'm 65, been working on cars for 51 years, so I got a little experience. Those things are endless money pits. Now, if you want to buy one really old and get it cheap, and you think you can afford the parts for it, go right ahead. Just realize the parts cost a lot of money for those BMWs, and they break down all the time. You say standard transmission, at least that's a smart move. Buy one that at least runs. If it runs and shifts and it goes okay, that means the engine and transmission are decent, then yeah, go ahead. But if either the engine or the transmission has problems, it'll eat your lunch. Don't even think about doing it if that's the case. Hypernovas! Scotty, I really enjoy your channel. What are your thoughts on importing 25-year-old Japanese cars? I like the Toyota Chaser. If you import a vehicle that was sold in Japan, it can often be very hard to get parts for here in the United States. And they're not exactly the same, because I personally have dealt with it with my own customers. Say they'll bring in a Toyota that they got from Japan, and it was a good car with low mileage, because I guess they don't drive that much in Japan. They take a lot of trains and stuff, and there aren't that many highways. So he got a car and only had 35,000 miles on it. But when things broke, I couldn't get parts for him because, like, the oil pan was different than the American ones. The fuel injection system was slightly different. Programming was slightly different. So it's something that, it can be iffy. In the olden days, we didn't really care, and you could do it because they were carbureted and they were simple, and you could always just take the Japanese carburetor off, throw it away, and put a Weber Italian Racing conversion carburetor on, and they'd run great. But today, everything's fuel injected and complicated, and even a 25-year-old Japanese car is going to be fuel injected because they used fuel injections in Japan in that day. So you want to do a lot of thinking before you buy something like that, because if you can't get parts for it, what's the point of owning a car? They all break eventually. Prab, I changed my air intake hose because there were vacuum leaks. After that, my engine RPMs are at 2,000. I did throttle relearn, cleaned the throttle, but I changed the MAF sensor with the same throttle body cleaner. I think it's that. Well, it could be. You want to really check for vacuum leaks first, because if now it's idling at 2,000 RPMs, most of the time that means it's sucking air somewhere. Look all over. Watch my video, Finding Engine Vacuum Leaks with a Cigar. Try that. It's a very easy thing to do. But if you can't find any stuff, odds are you destroyed the MAF sensor and you're going to have to put another one in. And my advice on that is go to a place like AutoZone. They have a very liberal return policy. If you bought one, put it on, it didn't fix it, generally you can take it right back to them and get your money back. So that's what I tell people to do. That doesn't cost you anything if it wasn't a good guess. So he says, Scotty, I got a Mazda 3 2013, 60,000 miles. It has some steering rack leak, but no problems. Do you think I should sell it or keep it? Thanks. Well, you know, if it's an automatic transmission, definitely sell it, because those are piles of junk and they fall apart. But you only got 60,000 miles. But if the steering rack is leaking, hey, try some AT205 reseal. Put 3 ounces of it in it. See if that keeps it from leaking. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.